flights are $4,000, $3,000 just for economy to just come here because they want to come to your festival. How did that start, and how long ago, how long has that been in the making?
Yeah. We used to come back to Ghana, we'll party, we'll go to all the clubs, we'll sleep all day, and you know, see family, and then go back to our countries. And then you go on Ghana Twitter, and they're like, you know, you diaspora, come to Ghana, yeah, do your 2 weeks and go back, no impact. So if we could develop a space where, one, we can engage with the people on the ground that are moving and shaking, that are developing things, give them the support system that they need, bring our expertise from outside to be able to work with the experts here to develop an ecosystem, then we'll be able to kind of change the way people think about Africa in general, but also we'll be able to kind of see what greatness we could develop together.
Today I have the pleasure of bringing to the space of consciousness a man who is essentially a thought leader and an entrepreneur, as well as a producer and an all-round cultural leader in this contemporary time here in Ghana, but then also in North America and the rest of the global Black diaspora. Abdul Abdullah.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here.
Appreciate it.
So just to jump straight into it, a lot of your reality is based on your journey between the continent and then North America.
Yeah.
Where were you growing up?
Well, I grew up in both Ghana and in America at the same time. In '95, my dad sent us back to Ghana. He wanted us to get a bit of his culture and to be able to understand his culture. He had a fear that if we grew up in America, we probably wouldn't understand his culture in the way that we should. So at the time, we thought it was a punishment for him to send us to Africa and for us to live in Africa without our parents. But honestly, it turned out to be one of the biggest blessings of my life. And some of the relationships I've built today are based on those relationships. People I went to school with here in Ghana, some of the lessons that I live by are because of the lessons I learned while living here in Ghana and going to school here in Ghana. Some of the discipline I have is from that experience. But also having that dual experience of being able to go to school here in Ghana, but also being able to go to school in America just gave me so many different perspectives about what life could be. And also, you kind of live in the middle, right? When you are an American kid growing up in Ghana or a Ghanaian kid growing up in America. I think that middleness is something that we tend to capitalize. We can capitalize on, should we see it that way, and I kind of see it that way.
Okay, and so would you say you're a diaspora, or would you say, because you're in the middle?
I mean, I drive myself in Ghana. I know how to get around, so I'm not a diaspora. I'm a Ghanaian local. I have a Ghana card. I have a Ghana passport. You know, so.
But when you're in America, are you a diaspora or are you an American? You like?
It's a great question. I mean, honestly, I would say I'm a diaspora in America.
Right.
Because I spend the majority of my time now flying back and forth to Ghana, and because of that, sometimes it's taken me very far away from how I felt about being an American when I was just in America for a long period of time. So I would say I'm living in the middle. I would say I would live between both cultures in such a way. But in America, nobody really sees you as a Ghanaian or Nigerian. They just see you as black. Right. So I have to recognize that perspective of me too.
When did you realize that you were black, given the context that when you're here in Ghana, you're Fanti, you're Ewe, and then when you are in Africa, you're Ghanaian, and then when you're in North America, you're black. When did you realize that? Did you realize it very early, or?
No, I think I realized it very late. I mean, growing up, I grew up in the Bronx. We didn't really see a lot of white people like that. I went to school with Albanians, and they were the white people that we saw. And coming from Ghana, I thought Puerto Ricans and Dominicans were white because their skin were light skin. But I feel like in college, when I went to Syracuse University, is when I was like, all right, I'm actually black. I can understand that. And you know, the consciousness started to rise about my blackness, about how I exist in certain spaces, how I present to other people. Those kind of things started to kind of manifest for me in college. But you know, we always knew, like, you know, if you're from the Bronx,
right.
if you go to Manhattan, you might see a white person. At least in my time. Nowadays, gentrification has made it so that
there's Whole Foods in Harlem now.
There's Whole Foods in Harlem. You know, when I was growing up, those things didn't exist for us. You would have to go downtown to see that. And because we didn't go downtown that often, we really stayed around our community. It wasn't something that I had to think about outside of dealing with the police, right? Or getting stopped by the police, or at the time when I was growing up, the detectives were out, undercover detectives in our neighborhoods, so they would pull you over, pat you down, check the car, those kind of things. Those are my interactions. But you know, I didn't recognize it as something wrong or something that wasn't correct, or me going to metal detectors in order to go to school. I didn't recognize that as traumatic until I got to college.
Okay. And just to bring it to consciousness, in terms of just human consciousness, you wanted to be a heart surgeon.
I did.
And obviously wanting to be a heart surgeon means that you care about the hearts of humans and care about human life, which is like an important thing. How far or how close to that dream do you think you are now? Because I would say that you are a heart surgeon of healing for the diaspora, and you are a heart surgeon of culture. How do you feel about where you are now to where you wanted to be when you were that? Well,
first of all, thank you so much. But I would say, you know, I still have a passion for health. You know, when you're a Ghanaian kid growing up, my mom never got the opportunity to go to school. And a lot of people in my family didn't either, so they would always call us like, read this medicine, what does it mean? What does it mean? How many times should I take this? So I always knew that I wanted to be in a health space, you know, so I did get a bachelor's in biology and psychology. I went out and got a master's in public health. And right after college, I wanted to do some research before going to medical school. And in doing research, I fell in love with research and project management. More so than I cared about going to medical school. Right. So I still work in the healthcare service, but you know, it was more important for me to follow a passion that I was passionate about, like research, like project management, which is what I do now for a pharmaceutical company. Okay. Right. So I still do that in the background of all the things that we've been able to build here in Ghana. But yes, our communities are suffering from a lot of health disparities, educational, socioeconomic disparities. And, you know, we have an opportunity by being able to be educated outside of Ghana, or, you know, even within Ghana, about bringing back that knowledge and using it. So for me, the first level of consciousness for me was to kind of let people know that, yeah, you are black and you grew up in America, or you're black, you grew up in Germany or London or wherever, or you're black and you're in Ghana or Togo or Zambia or whatever these places. Yes, our stories are different, our experiences are different, but our consciousness is in the same if we can kind of understand each other's perspectives. So for me, it's first connecting people and then developing a system where we can build those socioeconomic support systems that we need to be able to develop the health consciousness that we need. Okay, because one of my master teachers and elders, may rest in power, Dr. Africa, said that there is no revolution in consciousness without first a revolution of health. Yeah. Because of, you know, the way that we've been eating, the way that we've been addicted to things that we shouldn't be addicted to all of the time. And, you know, I have been a nutritionist and I have studied health and fitness for a long time. What do you think the difference in nutrition or diet is between North America and let's say Ghana, but then West Africa as a whole? Like, how do you see them, the standard American diet, and then what people are eating out here? How do you see the differences, the similarities? I think that the first and foremost, we have sun almost all year round. So in Ghana, you know, a lot of people are eating very hearty foods. You know, people eat wache for breakfast, which is, you know, pretty intense. It's gonna hold you over for hours in the day. For those who don't know what wache is beans, it's spaghetti, it's a lot of stuff. Yeah, people are eating that, you know. You can see fruit everywhere, right? It's a part of your diet. Whereas growing up in America, there are food deserts everywhere, right? If you're hungry, the closest thing to you, if you're living in the Bronx, most times is a KFC or a McDonald's or a chicken spot, right? The options are not as available to you. You know, you can go out and get a mango in Ghana for a couple of cities. Anybody, it's accessible to anybody. You know, yeah, we do have some fruit stands now that are popping up around the Bronx thanks to the local Mexicans that live in our neighborhoods and things of that nature, but we don't have many options. Whereas in Ghana, there's so many different options for localities to be able to experience. And then also our people love our local food, and our local food tends to be very hearty, right? The palm oil is used to cook a lot of the foods that we eat, right? So you're not dealing with a lot of saturated and processed foods that you may do in America. So for instance, if I eat chicken in America, it may last in my system for so long. Versus in Ghana, it's actually kind of running through my system. You could tell that it's very organic compared to what we're dealing with in America. And I think those are the kind of things that we need to be conscious about. Most places outside of America are very aware, and they do a lot to protect the people in those cities. But, you know, in America, we're kind of behind when it comes to that. You know, capitalism is a lot more interesting than making sure people are, you know, able to eat the food that is very important and healthy to them. In Ghana, there's not that much of that yet. And the hope is that the people here continue to protect our food and make sure that it's natural and accessible to everyone. I mean, you know, right now, the only challenge people in Ghana are facing are poverty, right? You know, we don't have that much money. People can't go out and buy, you know, maybe the big restaurants and things of that nature. But the local food is good enough for people to eat and sustain themselves, and it's pretty healthy.
When was it that you? Okay, let me start somewhere else. Fraternity. Speak to me about what that is, what it was for you, and how that now is impacting your life, or how that's a resource still for you now.
So I joined Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated. Was founded at Howard University, January 9th, 1914. And, you know, for me, growing up in the Bronx, I had no idea anything about fraternities or fraternal life. I never had anybody in my family that was a part of fraternity. Well, my mom was sort of part of a group, and, you know, it kind of resembles what a sorority would be for localities here in Ghana. You know, in Ghana, certain areas have a thing they call base. It's like you just go and sit down in your base and you chill with your people. That's as far as I've known, you know, what a brotherhood looks like or a team looks like. But fraternity was a lot different. It was more challenging. It was a little bit more intricate, and it required a lot of development mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and that's what Phi Beta Sigma was for me. And I had no intentions of joining a fraternity when I went to Syracuse. It just happened to me. I met a group of brothers that I felt were very conscious about how they wanted to show up on campus, how they wanted to affect change in the community, how service was important to them, understanding a culture for service, service for humanity, right? Serving the people. I thought that was interesting. And also inclusivity, right? Being able to be in a brotherhood that understood it doesn't matter what your background is, what your socioeconomic status is, how intelligent you are, any of that didn't matter. We just wanted to create a space where we can support each other and have that brotherhood. And then it helped that Dr. Kwame Nkrumah is a brother of Phi Beta Sigma. It helped that Benenam Dizikwe was a brother of Phi Beta Sigma, and those principles allowed them to be able to build nations right here in Africa. So it was easy for me to be able to like identify which organization I wanted to be a part of and the type of brother I wanted to be. And becoming that brother really has helped me in so many ways. Mentally, I would not have been able to build some of the things we've been able to build here in Ghana with Afrochella and Culture Management Group, if not for the mental tenacity that I developed while becoming a brother. Even before, it was hard for me to speak in public the way I am now. But the brotherhood allowed me to be able to learn the skills that I needed to be able to understand how to believe in myself and how to believe in the consciousness about how I talk. And, you know, it's a good thing that I became a brother of Phi Beta Sigma, because another one of my younger brothers became a brother, and two of my other brothers became alphas. Now they made a mistake, but but to me, it's really amazing how that has changed the dynamics of my family, and how that has changed our consciousness about the world and blackness and the experiences that people go through, and it challenged us as men to be able to, you know, I guess as boys to become men as well. And I thought that was a very interesting experience, and it kind of paid ode to our ancestors and all they did to kind of ensure that black people had all the support they need to develop themselves. And I'm very, very in debt to that. And I always wanted to be able to kind of live up to that status and stature.
I didn't actually learn or hear about that really until I watched School Days. Once I watched School Days, then I was like, oh, this is a whole thing, because I was raised in the UK, and then we don't really have the same thing like that in the Caribbean. So I saw that and I was like, maybe that's like a good way for people to make sure that they're not falling into crime and they're looking at other brothers as brothers rather than looking at other brothers as the N-word that we're not saying. But it seemed like that was definitely a foundational basis for a lot of black men and black women in America to be able to organize themselves when they leave their educational establishment. So do you still speak to some of the people? Yeah,
I mean, some of my closest friends today are brothers of Phi Beta Sigma, brothers of Kappa Alpha Psi, brothers of Alpha Phi Alpha, brothers of Omega Psi Phi. Those are some of my closest friends to today. And, you know, in Ghana, it's very easy, you know, if you're Hausa, if you're assigned to, you know your tribe, you know your community. Back home in America, you know, a lot of people don't have that type of community. And these fraternities are able to give you that. And sometimes people underestimate the power of having a community behind you, of having a tribe behind you and supporting you. One, it's easily accessible for you to get information that you need. It kind of tells you about how you operate within groups. You know, in Ghana and most African countries, we're community oriented, right? You don't go against the grain of the community, right? And whereas in America, capitalism teaches us to be individual oriented, right? So you don't want to cooperate with other people. That's why in most communities, for protection, most people stick to gangs. But we have an opportunity now with fraternities and sororities to kind of change that narrative for people, to give people a support system, to give people a pathway to growth, right? So I saw Dr. Kwame Nkrumah as somebody to aspire to, right? He went to Lincoln University, he became a brother. I went to Syracuse University, I became a brother. Look at the things he's been able to accomplish, right? Till today, his legacy still shines bright. And, you know, that's something for me to aspire to. Now, if I'm in a family where my dad never went to college, my mom never went to school. I didn't have anybody to be able to learn from, aspire to. All I had was my own courage and, you know, my own, you know, support system to be able to kind of make sure that I changed the narrative that my parents weren't able to kind of to have, right? So having somebody to look up to that was able to do these things despite all the things that they've been through, I think is very inspirational. So the Greek letter organizations that exist are amazing because it has changed a lot for a lot of first-generation college goers, a lot of first-generation Americans. You know, those kind of things allow us to build legacies in our space, and it allows us to come together. It's a network that is so huge that, you know, historical black colleges are amazing because it gives black people a sense of belonging. Same when you come to Ghana, you don't see yourself as black because everybody looks like you, right? And I think, you know, for most part, most people here who grew up around black people their whole life, they don't understand the power of looking out into the world and seeing everybody looks like you. Whereas people that back home, who they're made to feel small because they're black. They're made to feel those kind of things change their perspective. So historical black colleges are able to give black people that confidence to walk into this world with their head high. I think Greek letter organizations are able to do that as well because it puts you in a network that allows you to be able to see a pathway to greatness.
So you're the founder of Afrochella. How did that come about? Because it's become this big phenomenon now. It's like you guys are trending here, you know, people are trying to attack you here, people are trying to, you know, get on any flight that they can get on, which now, you know, we need to do something with Ethiopian Airlines. But, you know, flights are $4,000, $3,000 just for economy to just come here because they want to come to your festival. How did that start and how long ago, how long has that been in the making?
So, I think the diaspora, Africa has given birth to so many amazing people around the world. You know, we have diasporans around the world that are moving and shaking culture around the world. And Africa has a culture, it doesn't matter whether it's Ghana, Kenya, South Africa, Nigeria, of coming back together. And December happens to be cocoa season for a lot of African countries. So figuring out a way to kind of galvanize all of that greatness was one of the things that was important to me, because we used to come back to Ghana, we would party, we'd go to all the clubs, we'd sleep all day, and you know, see family, and then go back to our countries. And then you go on Ghana Twitter, and they're like, you know, you diaspora, come to Ghana, do your 2 weeks and go back, no impact. And I thought that was true. It was rightfully true. So if we could develop a space where, one, we can engage with the people on the ground that are moving and shaking, that are developing things, give them the support system that they need, bring our expertise from outside to be able to work with the experts here to develop an ecosystem, then we'd be able to kind of change the way people think about Africa in general, but also we would be able to kind of see what greatness we could develop together. And that was the stepping stones for us to create a festival right here. And then the second thing was to just kind of figure out, well, how do we communicate with each other? Like, what are we talking about? And for me, I think when I think about culture, which is what we were trying to develop, is it's about communication. And for us, it's about food. It's about art. It's about fashion. It's about music. I think these are things that you don't have to know anybody to look at them and be able to start a conversation based on those things. And those are the 4 key tenets of Afrochella, right? And those are the things that we were trying to develop and have conversations around it. Now, also, if you scope the internet, outside of individual creators, there's no content where you can go and understand why Ghanaians and Nigerians are fighting over jollof. You know, why is jollof in Nigeria, Ghana, Gambia, and all these West African countries?
And it'd be trending sometimes.
Are talking about it. Why is it? How is it that our food travels? There's no story about that. There's no story about, you know, most Ghanaians probably don't know what Ethiopians eat, and most Ethiopians don't know what Ghanaians eat. We don't communicate, but we're one people. And we wanted to be able to develop a medium where, one, we can create that content, speak to those things, and ensure that, one, Africans knew about other parts of Africa, but also that the world had a narrative that we created, that Africans themselves created, right? So we wanted to do that not only in food, but in music and art and fashion. I can sit here and give you Jay-Z's whole history, how he started, where he came from. But I don't think I could do that about Davido or Burna Boy. Well, I could do that about Davido. I could do that. I can now, but most people can't, right? And I think that those kind of things are things that we need to, like Ghana, we have Sark. Sark is probably one of the best rappers. Like if you're not somebody who's a fan of him, you probably don't know his story, but he's won a BET award. He's world renowned, right? As an artist. Why don't we have more stories about talents like that? So, you know, those kind of things affect how the world thinks about you, because they're writing your history for you. Right? So if we can change that narrative and start to kind of document these things in a way where people can reach them and people can understand them, then we start to change the narrative. And I think over the past 6 years, we've done that. Because look at all the people that are coming to Ghana. Some people are coming to Ghana to have a rebirth. Some people are coming to Ghana to connect with people. Some people are coming to Ghana looking for a residency, trying to find, you know, a new life. And, you know, some people are deciding to quit their jobs abroad and come and set up a company here, which is all great for the economy, right? Because it's creating jobs, it's creating opportunities. The government is changing in certain type of way. Yeah, it may be slow, but I see a very big difference in Ghana from 2017 to 2022, right? I think there is a difference. It's not as fast as we all may have wanted it, but it has changed. You know, I think what we need to work on is how to make the local Ghanaian feel a part of this change. And I think that that's the area for improvement for the government or the next government to kind of figure out how, when all these people come in here, how do we get the local governments or local agencies to tap in and make sure that the locals are also benefiting from all you know, all that is happening and the culture that's happening here. So inclusivity is the key.
I remember being here in 2019, and you know, I was getting taxis from various places to various places, and I was asking all the taxi drivers, do you know about the Euro return? And none of them knew. They didn't know what it was, what was going on, and why everybody was coming here. And I was part of a delegation that brought Prime Minister Mia Mottley from Barbados here to create a trade agreement between Ghana and Barbados, because I definitely think that if we're going to be self-sustainable and self-sufficient as Afro-Indigenous people around the world, then we need to have trade between we need to have trade amongst each other between countries seamlessly without speaking to any European countries, without speaking to anybody else. And you know, the narrative has definitely been shaped in a way that benefits European businesses. For instance, the airlines disrespect us. Whenever we come here, they disrespect us.
They do.
But then also we disrespect ourselves, because I've seen the not all, but a lot of the Black American diaspora who aren't coming here, or have decided they don't want to come here, or can't afford to come here, like the biggest things that they pick up on as to what's going on in Ghana is like that Meek Mill's phone got robbed. And yeah, he got it back, but like you're not tweeting that, you know, somebody got their phone robbed in New York. It's like Meek Mill's phone got robbed, don't go there, right? You know, crime happens everywhere. And I suppose what I wanted to ask you is, how do you think the diaspora can come here and be of use, and how do you think that people here can be of use to the diaspora?
All right, so there's two parts to that I want to answer and address. I think that as far as, you know, the taxi drivers or the locals not knowing about the year of return, I think the year of return, beyond the return, are great initiatives. When you read it on paper, it's a great plan, because you know, it's very trickle down. Now, what we need to be careful about doing is, you know, figuring out how, yes, it's great to market outwards, but there's some marketing inwards that need to be done as well. And that inward marketing is for the government to do, right? I've done my job by getting people to come here, by setting up the festival and paying for it personally, right? The government has to do a job of galvanizing localities to make sure that they are benefiting from all the traffic that comes into the country. And I think that that's where the programs fall short. The marketing internally is not done well. And the issue with that, and this is the bridge to the second part of your question, is that Black people around the world don't recognize that we deal with the similar things, right? Yes, I'm in America, I make money, right? And I don't make money because I'm making so much money. I'm making money because my currency is higher than yours. But I still deal with a whole lot of things. Most people make $100,000 in America and they can't save 20. You know, in Ghana, if you make $100,000, you probably keep 80. And I think that those are the things that are very different and not really explained to people here. But somebody who has never traveled and they're looking at somebody who comes from America, they look good, they have the clothes that I want, they have the money to take care of somebody. That's all that people see, because in their current predicament, that's what they want, right? So what we do is we create this push and pull mechanism where individuals who are coming here are coming seeming off like as if people in locals don't want them to come. And then people back home, they have already have a preconceived notion, because for so long, everybody is telling us that Africans live in huts, or Africans walk barefoot, or everybody has these preconceived notions about Africa, or AIDS, or Ebola, or all these things that have been fed to us about how Africa is and what Africa will be. And I think that what we have to do as people that live in the middle, that I've been in Ghana, I've lived in Ghana, I've lived in America, I've lived in these places, I've been to Europe, I've seen how European Black people live, I've seen how American, I've been to the Caribbean, I've seen how they live, and I've seen their experiences. To be honest, if I was blind and I went to Haiti, I would think I was in Congo, because the music is pretty much the same. If I was blind and I went to Jamaica and I didn't know that I was in Ghana, I would think that a part of Jamaica is Ghana. These places look exactly similar. The experiences are just different. So all we have to do is educate more. So in 2019, we were focused on telling people, come to Ghana, come to Ghana, come to Ghana, come to Ghana. But what we realize is people have some learning and unlearning to do about their Blackness, about their experiences, and about their perceptions. All of those things require us to be a little bit thoughtful about how we communicate with people. So I'm not gonna blame a local Ghanaian for being upset that so many people are coming into the country and then everything's expensive for them. They have a right to be upset. But I'm also not gonna be upset that somebody in America who has been told for so many years that Africa is dangerous, so you come to Africa, you're gonna get AIDS, you're gonna get Ebola, you're gonna get COVID, or, you know, all of these things that have been fed to you, I'm not gonna be mad at you for that.
Right.
Right? All I'm gonna do is figure out new ways to communicate to you so that you are coming into the fold. Because we can't focus on like the negativities and the back and forth. We need to open the discussion to a more healing space that gets people to kind of see each other and understand each other. And I think if 10 people come to Ghana, 9 people are gonna have an amazing experience and they're gonna bring their friends with them. Right? There's gonna be one person who is not yet ready yet, right? And that's okay. Yeah. Because they're not used to it. They haven't been used to it. And I think that those kind of things are some of the things we have to understand. Now look, when you go to Caribbean, they've been doing tourism for hundreds of years. Right. Yeah, it may not benefit the localities or the local people there in the Caribbean, but they have an understanding of what tourism is and how it can be monetized and how it can be developed. I think that's something that we need to improve upon here. So anyone who has a very beautiful area with a lake, they can do a tour. Right. And they can make some money because people are here. Right. Right. Figuring out how to kind of include the local community into the development. I think those things will change. And then just kind of more stories beyond a hip hop movie or you know, or a movie. That's not everybody's reality. Defining reality. That's not a defining reality. So most people, when they come and they get to the Bronx, they're like, man, it looks like I'm in Ghana. Because you are, because everybody around you, you're probably gonna hear tree, you're probably gonna hear house, you're gonna hear that in the Bronx. Because that's where your people are, you know what I mean? And the realities shift. Everything doesn't look like Home Alone or like LA, you know, and Miami. It doesn't always look like that in the Bronx, and the experience is not that, but that's what people see, right? On Ghanaian TVs, you're seeing American TV shows, you know, you're seeing American music videos, and you know, some people may think that's reality, and it's not. And also, it's not reality that kids are so poor and flies are flying around their face. Like, even people here who don't have much are very happy. They're very happy. They will smile, they will laugh, they will joke with you. You know, that's not the same in America. Right. You broke, you really broke. You ain't got no family house to go stay.
Yeah, like when I walk through the countryside here, people, not all, but some have poverty, but they have it with dignity. Yeah. And it's like, you could never tell that person that 90 years of living their life as a rural farmer was a bad life, or it might have been a hard life when they had to work, but they were happy. And you see the smiles on their face. It's not depression, it's not like that, because they have the sun, they have the food, they have their culture. And I suppose I want to ask you, how do you think that this digital revolution that is happening right now is important in redefining culture? And also, how do you think that platforms such as REVOLT and other black media platforms have a responsibility for telling the story of people that look just like them all around the world?
So what we do is, as an Afrochella festival, to be more responsible, is we do a few things. If you're in America and you're buying a ticket to Afrochella, it's a very different price than if you're in Ghana and buying a ticket for Afrochella. One, because you know, the salaries in Ghana is not equitable to a minimum wage in the United States. So it may be easier for an American to spend $100 than it is for a local Ghanaian to spend $100. But I want them to both have the same experience, right? If you're black media and you're doing entertainment, you have a responsibility to educate. If you're gonna come into Africa or you're gonna get African content, then come out here, hire locally. Right. Make sure it's a local production company doing that. Train some people, you know, give some people an opportunity to come into the market, right? Also, maybe you don't need to come here and show them American content. Maybe you need to support them in developing Ghanaian content. Right. I think local Ghanaians should see themselves in local Ghanaians, not local Americans or people from LA. I don't, you know, I don't understand the idea of coming and setting up a business here and then not funding projects to showcase everyday life here. Right. And I think that the black media needs to kind of look at that as an opportunity. We were just talking about how people are happy here. There's so much talent here, and if you speak to somebody, they're going to tell you, well, it's lack of resources. Lack of resources. Well, if you're a local black, you know, company like REVOLT, you do have resources. Right. What can you do to develop a program to get more people into your business, right? To develop a subsidiary right here in Ghana or Nigeria or Togo or wherever it is, so that we can capture that content, right? Luckily, social media is making the world a lot smaller. Somebody in Ghana can now talk to somebody in Tanzania for free through WhatsApp. You can tweet to somebody in South Africa for free. For now we are able to see in real time what's happening in these other countries. And you know, obviously some people have been able to capitalize on that using their own social media platforms to develop agency for themselves. But you know, with the support of companies that we've been bringing in, we've brought in a lot of companies and medias like, you know, companies like REVOLT and others that are in black media. What we need is a lot of, you know, support. You know, if you have a journalist, you know, your black enterprise, help us develop a journalism program here so that people can understand the proper way of reporting right here on the continent. Or give them the resources to develop their own system of reporting so that they're not reporting like you. They want to report from their own perspectives. I think those are the things that some of the companies can do. Those are the things that we've encouraged the companies that we've worked with to do, to kind of ensure that you know, we're leaving here with a legacy, all right, and it's sustainable, and it's not that we're just kind of bringing people here and they're partying and they're leaving and they're spending their money and we're just profiting and putting it in our pocket. No, we want to make sure that, you know, every year when we do the festival, we have over 1,000 people. That's 1,000 jobs. If I don't exist next year, that's 1,000 people that didn't have a job. Right. You know, those kind of things are sustainable. When we do the festival, we feed over 1,000 people at the end of the festival. You know, those things are important. You know, we rebuilt the school. So now when you're coming into the continent, you're coming in with that mindset that it needs to be fully sustainable. I don't mind you taking a little bit. You know, get your money. But make sure that you leave something behind that the next person can grow it and also support somebody and pay it forward. I think those are the things that we are trying to do through our festival, and I'm encouraging all the other festivals and all the other individuals who have agency here or who have built here, who are inviting media here, to be able to do the same thing. I really don't want black people to come here and colonize Africa. I want black people to come back here and support each other. Now, we all know that remittance is one of the biggest ways that Africa receives money annually. A lot of people make big deals about us going to the IMF and us getting funding and stuff like that. But remittance, as in someone taking their money out of their pocket and sending it through a bank, sending it through Western Union, sending it to SendWave. All of these apps are the highest ways Africans are receiving money. That means there's money in the diaspora. And black people have the highest spending power in America. What can we do with that? We have power to spend on African brands. We have power to develop our own brand. There's amazing brands here. If you want to invest in a brand, come and talk to somebody. Make sure they're registered. Make sure they're paying taxes. Make sure they have an actual business model. Invest in them. Help them grow. We don't have to wear Gucci Louis. We can wear our own. We can wear Makosa. We can wear Alara. You know, we can wear Free the Youth. We can wear all of these brands right here. And we have the opportunity to do that. There's so much opportunity in infrastructure. Come set up a company. Let's make some T-shirts here. Let's make our own thread so that we can develop opportunity for young people to develop. Let's make cameras here. You know, let's build it right here in Ghana. You know, there's a company in the north that's making electric bikes so that we can ensure that the time it takes for people to deliver food from a farm to different people is reducing the food costs. That's amazing work. Support those kind of companies. I mean, I think those kind of things to me are where I'm asking people to put their money. You know, if you have the funds, spend it the right way. Spend it sustainably, and also come in sustainably. You know.
So out of mastermind, economist, leader mode, what was your happiest day in your life? Or usually this one works, what was your best birthday?
Wow. You know, honestly and truly, birthdays for me is like a rebirth. I feel like all of the birthdays I've been able to live are the happiest days of my life. But I would say one of the happiest days of my life was probably December 30th, 2022. Only because we were able to accomplish what we seemingly thought was impossible, Afrochella is a homegrown company with zero backing, We been able to survive despite of. And we've been able to put on a show that's world class, out of grit, and also from local people who are able to build our stuff, right? With the support of local companies, you know, and companies from Nigeria as well, to be able to build something that has impacted the world, that's impacted the lives of so many. This year I saw so many people from all over the world coming into Ghana and literally enjoying themselves in a safe manner. They came, they left my stadium in peace, and we were successful. And for me, that taught me a lot. That taught me a lot about myself. One, it taught me a lot about patience. It taught me a lot about believing in myself, believing in my team. And also it taught me a lot about patience, man. I mean, I know I probably said it before. I'm gonna say it again. Patience, you know, those things make diamonds, you know, allows us to be able to kind of take our time and do things. So I would say that's probably one of the happiest days of my life, because there were times where I doubted, and being able to accomplish what you doubt you could was a very big deal for me.
That's nice. It's nice that it's not a far away place, your happiness. It's right here.
Right here.
It's right here. And so then, what is your idea, or what are the new experiences you want to create for people? And also, I mean, I'm just going to say this off the bat, need to come to Ethiopia, because that's the other kind of big Pan-African center of Africa. But what are the experiences that you want to create for people? And then this is another question. If you were directing a film, what story would you want to tell?
Absolutely. Well, last year we started out by going to a Francophone country. We went to Cote d'Ivoire and we did an experience there with a company called La Sunday. And what we were trying to do is not only build a bridge from the diaspora outside of Africa, but within Africa as well. So building that bridge between Anglophone and Francophone Africa is a very big part of our mission and goals, right? To kind of get more people to start listening to Francophone and Francophone. Obviously they listen to Anglophone music anyway. We've already built a bridge through our property called Amapiano Brunch with South Africa. We've worked with almost all the Amapiano artists. Our goal is to continue to build that, those experiences outside of Ghana. Right now we're sitting in the Afrochella Music Museum as well. And this music museum allows us to be able to explore music, not just with the sound, but also the stories and how our music comes about and all the influences that affect music. So we definitely want to be able to use this experience and take it out. Last year we explored an Afro Expo, which is an opportunity to get people to talk about the different sectors that are opportunities here in Ghana, in agriculture, in food, in music, in arts, and people engaged and work with. We did a pitch competition where somebody was able to win up to $11,000 right here where we're sitting. So those kind of opportunities we want to bring to different parts of Africa as well. If I could shoot a movie right now, it'd be around the greats, right? I would shoot a historical. I've never watched a movie about Kwame Nkrumah. I've never watched a movie about Nnamdi Azikiwe. I've never watched a movie about Thomas Sankara. I've never watched a movie about Patrice Lumumba. I've never watched a movie about Fela. I've seen a play, but I've never watched a movie about Fela. I've never watched a movie about Umu Sangare. There's so many different stories that are yet to be told that we need to focus on. This year is the 50th anniversary of hip hop, right? In Ghana, you know, when I was going to school in Ghana, Obrafour dropped, and I didn't understand a lick of what he was saying, but I knew that was hot. And I think that those kind of things are stories that need to continue to be told. You know, Reggie Rockstone is a pioneer. You know, why is it that we're not talking about him when it comes to hip hop? He's one of the people that made modern day Ghanaian hip hop what it is today. So, you know, why are we not talking about MI and all these pioneers that are doing stuff out of Nigeria? You know, so, you know, if I could shoot a movie, it would be around stories that put Africa and tells our stories in a way that it hasn't been before.
Okay. And if you were to have a message for your brothers and sisters that are all around the world, because I was watching a documentary once and a guy got off a boat, went into the jungles of Brazil and was speaking Tree or Ga, I think.
Ga, probably.
With a uncontacted uncontacted tribe or uncontacted peoples who ran away from the slavery, went into the jungle, stayed there, and they kept exactly everything like it was here, right? And he started crying. He was very, very emotional that he saw his brothers there, and like he'd never met them before. He didn't know that they were there speaking that, and he just felt like, you know, like, have we abandoned our children? Like, how has this connection not been made? And I'm saying all that to say, if you were to have a message as to why the reconnection is important, and you want to give that message out to all of the black and brown people around the world, what is that message, and why is it important?
What I'll say, you know, I'll echo President Nana Akufo-Addo, you know, without dignity, there's nothing. You know, in America, black people are being shot on cameras by police, you know. In Europe, you know, a black elected official in France is being called the N-word in public. You know, we are being debased all over the world. But we have such a massive land and opportunity right here. And people that clearly need support, need resources, need opportunity, and we have it. So there's an opportunity for both people locally and people abroad to be able to build in Africa that can benefit black people. Everybody around the world watched Black Panther, and everybody was saying, Wakanda forever, Wakanda forever. Yeah, that's a story, and it was a beautiful story because you saw black people in power. You saw black people with resources. Well, why not build something that can live up to that?
Right.
And I think that the beauty in connecting with people is to first understand that we all have shared experiences. Yeah, we may have different angles or different ways that we came to where we are now, but the shared experiences, it doesn't matter whether I take a black person from Zambia, from America, and I put them in America, everybody's gonna say these are black people. They're not gonna say he's from Zambia, he's from Togo, he's from Ghana.
Right.
So that's a shared experience that we can experience together. You know, black people in Africa are being, you know, treated unfairly in their own countries. Right. In their own countries. And not by blacks, by whites.
Racism,
so
colorism.
colorism, all of those things are happening right here on the continent. So what can we do together to be able to change that for each other? One, we need to educate ourselves about each other, and not just what we've been fed, but actual education by speaking to each other, by understanding our sensitivities, by understanding the traumas that we're facing, and understanding that, yeah, your experience may be different, but the pain doesn't change, right? You know, so those kind of things, our shared experiences, are the things that we need to focus on, and not the things that separate us. Right. Not the way we speak, not the languages we speak, not where we were dropped off, not whether or not we were dropped off. Those kind of things, if we can avoid those distractions, I think we could build an Africa we can all be proud of. We could build an Africa where we don't have to worry about poverty in the way that we do now. We can build an Africa where we can focus on educating ourselves and educating and living the way we want to, without Western or Eastern influences.
Right. One of the last things that I want to discuss with you is, as much as there has been the colonization and the theft of resources and the systems that we know have been put against us as people, there's still, as we, going back to happiness, because I love speaking about happiness, there's still this richness, this wealth of spirit. There's still this wealth of purpose and happiness for a lot of people. And I want to just get your take on spirituality, what it means to you, and how you can be, you can have no cedis in your pocket, but be the richest man on earth.
Yeah. You know, I'm Muslim by religion, and the reason why I love Islam is because Islam is very simple. It's just about submitting. But I think that what we've done is we've allowed religion to become political. Right. So depending on your political affiliation or your political understanding, you are treating religion very differently. And that's why I encourage spirituality, because the religions, I mean, the culture of Islam is pure. It's people that effectively change what the religion is. And if we can focus on spirituality, the way humans are built we're innately good people. So if we listen to our consciousness more than we listen to our egos or our ids, we'll tend to do the things that are correct. And literally that's all I have to say about it. You know, I think that if you focus on listening to your conscience more than you do your ego, your id, I think you'll be in a better mental state and you'll treat people better. You'll receive things better. You will understand it's never just about you. It's not about negativity. It's just about what somebody's dealing with at a given time. Maybe that's what's going on. Maybe it's not. If you can question as opposed to reacting, I think that we would live a more peaceful world.
And I think that goes back to what you were saying about your happiest day and the culture that you've created within your festival is patience and peace, understanding and loving. It's kind of like you get to that space, you walk around and you realize how much discourse there is, how much love there is, how much celebration there is, without any fighting, without any, it's like this is what our shared experiences are together while we're having fun.
I'm not saying people are not going to disagree. I'm not going to say people are going to like each other all the time. But what I'm saying is we don't need to focus on the negative. We need to focus on the things that bring us close together. You know, and I think once we can do that, we'd find peace. And you know, pretty much, that's how I feel about it. I feel like there's nothing more you can say about that. You know, it's just focusing on how we can love more, be around each other more, understand each other more, understand our differences. You know, people are not going to always be like you. People are not going to be like you want them to be. People are going to be who they are, and it's about how you adjust to kind of accommodate them or not accommodate them. But it doesn't have to be negative.
Okay, so very last thing. We say it takes a village to raise a child.
Yes.
What is the child or the children of Africa that you are wanting to create or wanting to raise, and what is the type of village that you're creating?
If I were to say I was creating a village in Africa or a child I wanted to create, I want to create a child who is free of limitations, that is free to dream about a future or a life that they want without feeling constrained or constricted by either money or people or their experiences. One that is curious and interested in education and always wanting to level up to the next level. I think that if I can create that type of child or that type of community, then I've succeeded in my life, Because more often than not, everyone wants to put their limitations on you. And I think that it's very important that people tend to live by their own standards and their own levels of elevation and their own ways of trying to grow. And if we can develop that here in Ghana, I mean, with all this ingenuity, people don't have to be rich to create things that make things life easier for them. We can develop a space where that experience can be expedited through imagination and freedom of thought, freedom of consciousness. I think we'll grow beyond where we are now.
Well, hopefully everybody who's watching this has met Abdul's spirit as he has met my spirit, and we have let our melanin be mellow together, so we're on the same level.
Absolutely.
Definitely now I feel like the spirit has become inspirational, where people are now looking to you to like how to create new culture, how to create new ideas, how to create new psychological phenomenons, which is for a lot of people coming home is a new thing for them. And I just want to thank you, give you your flowers while you're here sitting with us, for being able to create a cultural, socio-economic phenomenon that is positive and progressive, that everybody should aspire to everywhere.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
So thank you for coming and sitting down with us today.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Bless. Thanks.